You ever do any LeetCode, Victor? What'd you say?
Just made the calculator.
Oh, I didn't realize. That's so
I'm using
I was talking about this a lot, so randomly start reading it up. Oh, yeah, it's trying to throw it away. Honestly, it's probably the best thing for you.
It's kind of a lead mount class.
It's not really much.
That's common to this kind of work, just because it's a lot of.
Yeah, I'd rather have that.
I'm also taking.
So if you make 11 cents, maybe it's.
Yeah.
One more minute, one is a tough one.
And I don't.
Also, the color. Yeah. And they just.
And I don't understand. And I understand some stuff, but right now we're.
I just kind of remembered, I've been a little busy recently and it's slipped my mind with that Gantt chart thing. But do you want me to have that done like super soon, or is it okay if I just have it for like next time class rolls around? Or not class, but the club meetings roll around.
Yeah, we can just do that next week.
Okay.
And then
I'll make a point to get that finished.
can you get a win to meet out too?
What was it?
Have you put out a win to meet yet? Get a meeting time? Or just decide to meet a time either way? Alright.
Yeah, that's what I'll call it.
I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, and I'm not sure how much information I contain.
Okay, how's everybody doing tonight?
I want to say we have to.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's usually when we try to wrap up. But tonight will be really flexible, so people have to leave early. Oh, that's fine. Tonight we're just going to give you an intro to LeetCode. LeetCode is a really great way to prep for coding interviews. A lot of times, though, the interviewers will take questions right off LeetCode or HackerRank, or a lot of these websites are very similar. So start out tonight if you just want to go in and sign up for LeetCode so we can all be on the same page.
Use our first one.
Doesn't matter. There's no student discount that I'm aware of. Sure hope we get our money into that deal number. And also I put out the attendance form in the Slack, so if you can fill that out, that's required by the student union. So if you could do that, that'd be exceptional for COVID tracing purposes.
So it doesn't matter how we set up.
No.
Yeah. in the general chat?
Yep.
I'm not seeing it.
Oh, that's because I put in help desk for some reason. All right. What's that? Is everybody here in our Slack?
Affirmative.
No? Is he getting invited? Does he need a code?
And we just talked about that.
Should be in general now. Is anybody still working on signing up? Perfect. So look up at the top of the page, we got 4 problems. We're just gonna hop right into problems. And as you see here, they've got easy, medium, hard difficulties. All of these are going to be, not all of them, but the vast majority of these are going to be pretty similar to algorithm type problems that you'd see in, that you first introduced to in CS2. But even if you haven't interacted with any of this stuff before, you can definitely get going on it, especially the easy ones. For most jobs, from what I've heard, they usually pull from the medium category. They don't want to give you anything crazy, but it is good to push yourself with the hards too. All right. So we're going to pick a very easy one in theory. We sort by acceptance. Then right up top here, the concatenation of array. I've never tried this before, so I've tried LeetCode. I haven't tried this problem before. So this could be tough. I don't know, we'll see. Is everybody with me? Anybody not with me? All right,
Just signed up.
so we went to problems. And then we sorted by acceptance. And then we went to concatenation of array.
What is the acceptance? Is that like how many people complete it?
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean much. I mean, in theory, this could just be a really unpopular problem, and the only people that tried it are tryhards. So we'll see. It is easy, so we should be able to get it anyways. Read the problem statement here. Y'all can read, so I'm not gonna read that loud, but. Anybody have an idea that jumps out to them to how to solve this one? Carter?
Figure out how long that is, make it right, then like, then just do like a. Or something.
Any other thoughts? All right. So we are in C++ at the moment, so everybody in here should know the basics for that, but if you're curious, you can code in a bunch of different languages here to practice. So how are we going to compute the length of num? Anybody? Let's find out. Probably.
I'm pretty sure.
Size. Create our array. Wait, we want. Yes. What are we missing here? What's our for loop? It's easy. We got this. Come on.
I start at 0, I less than n, I plus plus.
Actually, we're going to speed this up a bit. No, we'll keep that. Okay. And then we want to append I. Does this look right? You guys are painful tonight. Come on.
It's Monday.
What are we missing? Carter.
So you're gonna run a stuff in your numbers right there. So you're gonna have to use Angular or something to figure out once you've gotten past the end of your numbers vector.
Yeah. So
You can probably do it out of that.
you want to explain your way?
Well, so maybe like inside so you could either do like what we have right now, except for make it I less than n, and just like fill in basically the first chunk of the array with that, and then do another for loop. That's basically the same thing, except for I equals n.
Or we could just wait.
Can we just put it in 1 and then tell the second part of it to start from the middle and do the same thing?
Hmm.
Like in the same for loop. So like in the for loop, you have 2 appends. So one puts the array in the first part of the vector, and the other one puts it in the second part. You'd have to start from n over 2, which might not be positive.
Yeah, we can do that.
Never mind.
To be honest, I'm a little rusty on C++, so I don't remember how to do things beyond append. I don't even know if append is the right word for this member function, but we can try this here, and then we want to return. It's probably not going to work. Anybody know the actual word or actual function here? And look for it? Thank you. Oh, I'm surprised that actually accepted it. Usually they have really tight speed and memory usages here, and our loops. This is just not the absolute fastest way you can do it. If you want, you can flip these around. And according to Professor Holtz, this is faster. I don't know if that's true, but and it can be fun to see once you submit it where you rank compared to everybody else who submitted theirs. So we're better than the average, which is good. Could be better, but it is what it is. This is mostly what I wanted to show today and have a work day. Do you want to go through another example problem, or would you rather work on it on yourself? Another problem? Working by yourself. All right, another problem wins. Should we try medium this time? This one was basic. We're doing number 2, add 2 numbers now. So, any ideas here? Any ideas where we should start? All right, well, let's just explicitly list out what it wants from us. 2 empty linked lists. That's important. On negatives. First order. Do you want to do an easy one or do we think we got this?
I want to try it.
All right. Yeah, definitely.
Stop trying to figure out what your numbers are, right? Like just-
Yeah, so everything's coming in reverse order, all linked lists. Well, let's go to the linked list documentation. We wouldn't be able to do this in interview. One thing that's jumped out to me is that if we have two numbers, right? The minimum that when we add them together, the length that the array will be the largest one. The max is the largest plus one, in case the carryover digit gets in place. And we know that we can do that really easily with the linked list based on documentation here. So we're going to want 3 bits here, 4. We're going to want input A, input B, carry C, output.
Without numbers is good.
Number 2. And we're going to want to read into these variables here. So we hop over to column this. Yep, have a good one. Thanks for coming.
See you later, big dog.
Then okay. I take back what I said about the linked list documentation. They give us their own linked list class here that we're going to use. We have to use. So we get these functions here. So these construct. This is why it's good to get used to this stuff. I read an int. Oh, we don't. Oh. Okay.
It looks like everything in the class can be used to do this, right? Because of the list node function.
Yeah, so we're given the first two here. They're basically, yeah, we are given arrays here, just more abstract,
Yeah.
basically. Okay. So do we think we should read these into? No, never mind.
Will you explain your input A, B, and C? So you said that C is the carrier. So what you're going to do is add up A and B, and if it's greater than 9, C will be whatever the remainder is, and then we have to add that to the next number.
Yeah.
Efficiency.
Yes. Small things like that are actually pretty important, stuff like this. And we're gonna want that to be 0 at the beginning. Now, we're making our own list. So output. Be the head node. And inside of our for loop, we'll add more nodes. Anybody else got some bright ideas? All right. So we don't need another length of this, but there will be 3 conditions in our for loop. This is just going to be a while L1 next not equal null pointer. Any errors here? So
Anybody else hear that beep and sound? Okay.
Not crazy.
output gonna equal O1 dot val. Nope. Val. Right here.
What's the error?
Oh, yeah.
It's not got here yet, but these are,
You know pointers, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've covered that.
When when you're past when you're trying to do any functions, or these are pointer classes or pointers to classes, and when you try to use the member functions in these in pointers to classes, then you have to use arrows instead of dots.
Flex on my cleansing.
All right. I think no, we do her node here instead. What am I trying to do here? Is learning taking place?
I don't know. What to
Okay, well, let's talk some more then. I don't want this to be a waste of time. Well, number one, I think we're close, but do we want to keep going on this problem, or would we rather do an easy one that everybody can participate in? Yes? Okay.
That or if you explain everything that's going on. That might take a while.
Exactly.
Let's do Roman to integer. Thanks for coming.
How many of
Oh,
you
perfect.
actually, like,
I expect a
had
ton of input.
listened
No.
or- Have any of you actually had
Said I
like list
did-
comments so far?
I didn't say that I was successful. I said I did it. I
We're
didn't.
just doing the option.
Now's your time to do it.
When it got above like 15, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, we're not gonna explain linked lists.
Yeah, let's avoid the
Yeah.
data structure in general, except for case.
Vectors, though, those will be important, so have you interact with vectors in your class? Okay, so I thought they're very similar to arrays, but they're more standard practice now.
I like to read this.
The kind of array list is a very specific way to implement the list data structure in general. I'm not sure how the vector is implemented, but vector is just a tool for you to use. It's like an array, but with more everything. So if you a vector can easily be made into a, like, without having to add any functions yourself, it can easily be made into a stack. A stack. Ah, jeez. We weren't supposed to be going here. Vectors are cool. Look them up. Don't use arrays unless your teacher tells you to. All right. Is that sufficient? I can go into more detail, but I don't know if it's worth it. Okay. Stick to it. Vectors are a lot faster too. Well, that's not necessarily true. Computer science. Okay. So this one, I read through this one in the past and I didn't bother with it, but they give you a string here and then you have to convert it to an integer. Pretty straightforward. This is our table to work with. Where are we going to start?
We need the length of the string first.
All right.
Genius.
How are we going to do that?
I don't. Is it? Well, for me, it's just string that length. Is it at the same?
LeetCode Premium gives you autocomplete. Very handy. We're gonna very, very hopefully get our money. So we'll get that soon. Hopefully. And then what else?
Well, then we use a for loop to go through each character in the string.
All right.
So for I equals 0 less than.
Show you a hack here. I think it works.
So how do we convert from the character to the actual integer value? So we could do a bunch of if else statements, but I mean, do any of you know about switch statements yet?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
I think I converted mine to ASCII, and then the whatever that is, I don't know. I just looked it up for it. ACII characters, what the computer reads it as.
Oh.
And then you do the math with that.
All right, we'll see if this works. If not, easy to switch. But this is saying you can do this in Python for sure. For every character in the string text. Then you don't have to worry about length at all, but we'll see. What were you saying? Sorry.
I was saying for each character in the string, I converted it to the number associated with the ASCII computer language.
ASCII.
Is that how you say it? Okay. I hadn't
Yeah.
encountered it until the other
No
day.
worries. They'll cover that
And then
very end here.
I just looked up whatever the ASCII was for one of them, so I would know the base value and
Okay.
then solve so that I would be 1 and B would be 5 and so on. I'm sure there's an easier method though.
Yeah. We shouldn't necessarily have to do ASCII because this is just straight converting all of these to their raw values. We're going to get a little crazy here because if you have symbols before other symbols like 1V or IV, you know, this isn't necessarily gonna do everything for us, but give it a shot. I remember why I did not do this problem now. This is so annoying.
Are we gonna brute force it for every single one?
Is there a smarter way to do this? Does anybody know it? Because otherwise, that would be the solution, and that's a pretty boring waste of our time, I think.
As, leave that either for
Yeah, I'm thinking if we have the switch could get us all these converted correctly, and we'd add them together. But if we have like a D, one D next to an M, then that would, or like if we were to represent 9, then we need to have some extra checks in place. It's a good exercise. Unless there's a ninja way to do it.
Is there a way to like assign a priority to like a number? We'll have like the lowest priority and then we'll have traits, and then if like a smaller priority is before like a higher priority, then like it subtracts it instead of child.
Could yeah, convert the value, just
Yeah.
like put each one in the vector, and then just like check the element before.
That's a good point. So, let's use Python.
Hey, now.
Actually, never mind.
Oh, okay. Sorry, that's okay.
Roller coaster.
So we got set priorities. What are you saying, Victor, about the vector?
I was just saying we could take like each character, convert it, and just put it in a vector, like squish again, and then go through the vector, and then check. I think it's like you only have to check one before for each one, right? Just making sure the one before isn't less, and then if it is, then subtract.
Yeah, if we like had a train going where it had it in, it reads the number and then it goes to the next one. And then if that checks that, then it adds. If they're equal, it adds.
Yeah.
If it's,
Or great.
well, it has to go up 2 ahead, right?
Oh, wait. I don't.
Um,
Right. Some board.
good chance you'd have to write stuff on the board in your interviews anyway. So we've got our characters here. So we can reach in here and let's say this goes to 1 and then this goes to 10. You look ahead. You look ahead 2. You look ahead 1. And that one's also 10. And this one is. Oh.
We just keep looking ahead until we get to, we can just check to see if there's anything higher all the way down. Because there could be like all that and then at the end it's like M or something, right? Well, no.
No,
So
with,
not
if this
understand
is
Roman numerals.
explicitly going to be one character before, it's not going to be 1 1. B.
Okay.
It would only be 1 B.
But for higher numbers like M, could that be the case?
1 M.
No,
No, he's like if you want to have like 1500, right? Like D. Something. Yeah.
I don't think so. Pretty sure it has to be the one with the lower, directly lower precedent. You look at the example code, but I'm pretty sure. Remember the Super Bowl 49 was really long, and then they just went directly to L. So, yeah, what makes this off of, and then. If we look 2 ahead, wait. I'm gonna say my solution and then someone else say better. Look 2 ahead, and if this one is bigger than the one after it, then this one's good to go. Or if it's bigger, then it's good to go. And then we move on to this one. And if these 2 are the same, then this one's also good to go. So if the 2 following it are equal or going from greater to less than, it's fine. But if it goes from smaller to greater, then we have to handle that case. Separately. Yeah. And that we can have a switch statement for every sentence. And then we'll need a special case for 2 digits. 2-digit ones. Is there a better solution here? We have 2 characters. Anything less than 3.
I guess I'm sure the priority would just be like less than. Yeah.
Yeah, we could convert. Yeah. We gotta hard code this. Oh, yeah. We can make a helper function here to translate these characters into numbers. We also make a helper function to compare. That's something we're interested in. Show our symbols.
I think there's an easier way to do it.
Shoot.
Can we go to the board? So people can fact check.
Yes.
I want to use this as my example. So, because you were saying check 2 ahead, right?
Yeah.
I think you need to check 1 ahead.
It should be over there.
Oh, it's white and that is also white. So, for example, the number I did 947 in Roman numerals is. So I think we can just add it up from left to right. So this is a value of 100, and this is 5. Oops. I'm sorry, this is 1,000. So we need to have 900. So we see that we go up. This one is larger than the previous one, so we can just subtract twice this. That's the rule for Roman numerals. So for these first two, you add this, and then you see this is larger, add it, and then subtract twice this for the 9 in the hundreds place. Then going up, you can do the same thing for 4. So you have 10 plus 50. Well, 50 is larger, so we need to subtract 2x. Twice that will give us the 4 in the 4's place. And this, we don't have anything that's larger after, so we can just keep going. 5 plus 1 plus 1, 7. You get the same number.
Yeah.
Is that what you were doing? Or
No, I think that's more how.
okay. I tested it for a bunch of numbers. I think it works.
Sweet. You want to plug in your computer and explain it in code?
I don't know how to do that. I just figured out
You have it in here?
this. No,
Oh, just.
I was working on it. Yeah, no.
I got you. I got you.
Programmed it, yeah.
All right. Well, based on that, we're gonna need to have a current and a next number. If the next number is less, if the next number is greater than the current, then we subtract. Otherwise, we just add normally. All right. So still want these. I think a translate function would be handy. We're looking for math. We're going really fast. So a map is basically it's this right here. You've got some value on the left, value on the right. We can search for a value over here and then have it output our value over here. So in that case, you don't need to translate at all. And remember how to add stuff to a map. Okay. Did the map explanation make sense? Okay. That's how we do it. Thank you.
This makes sense.
That. Go ahead. See how these functions work. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
You ever use Python, you hear about dictionaries, basically the same thing as math. So at this point, we can search symbols. See. Symbols. See.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
No, you.
I was gonna say, shouldn't we have it go through every symbol C? So symbols C will be an integer, right? Since it maps from a character to an integer. So should we just define it as an int and then check if the ones before and after need altering? Otherwise, we just add them together.
What do you mean by symbols? Should be an int.
So you made a map called symbols, right? So it should be an integer because it maps characters to integers.
It needs to be, you need to list what the one type is and what the second type is.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. This point, if symbols, see. Sure. Jeez, I'm brain dead. What are we trying to do right now?
Trying to track the previous one. Make sure it's not bigger.
So what do I need to do?
Just like move through the entire thing, you store your current, you check if your next is greater than or less than, or equal to greater than, or equal to.
Hold up. We need to get next. So might be easier if we just stop with that. Do Then for cur, find these out here. Cur is equal to stir at, I think that's a string. No, how does it work? Oh, okay.
It's string. Just dot that.
Okay.
And is that just
It's at or the brackets.
right?
And then next will be stir dot at I plus 1. Oh, thank you. And now we do some error checking on next in case we're at the very end, in which case if I is equal to length minus 1, right? Next, so if we're at the end of the string, then we can ignore all of this and just say that we're going to add I'll put integer here.
If we're at the end, we just add the current one.
Zero. Plus equals.
You initialize output.
Check. Symbols. So we've got our next now. And we need to check. If anybody needs to go, feel free. I think we can finish this one up. Next, we may check the next one is smaller than the current one. But next, less than,
No, it's gotta be simple next, right?
yeah, thank you. This is greater than symbols here. And we can actually speed this up if we take some integers here. Next int this. This way we don't have to go through the map every time. This is the case, then we want output to be increased by next int minus current and
Mine's 2 current,
what?
because to get So like in the first one, if you add 100 and then you add 1,000, then you have 1,100, you need 900, so you have to subtract 2 of the first one.
Oh, we're not adding them together in the first place.
So there, he's checking before you add. he's
Oh.
saying,
Smart, okay.
Okay, so if we do this, we also need to increase I so that we don't, because that 900 symbol is basically considered 1, even though it's broken into 2. What's so long? Else. Put plus equals current. And here, return output, maybe it'll work. Hey, look at that. This one worked. This just gives you one test run. This is the real deal. Oh, look at that. Good work, everybody.
You scroll up to the map.
Yeah.
Perfect timing. 2 minutes remaining on my battery.
Wonderful. I understand this meeting was kind of boring, but it's really important depending on what job you're looking for. I mean, if you're looking for a smaller local company, probably not going to ask you these questions, but if you do want to go to the bigger companies that pay a lot more, they will ask you these types of questions. Yep.
And like internships, are they gonna ask these?
Depends. I landed an internship at Polaris for the summer. They didn't ask me anything like this,
I don't
but
have any problems with that.
and this was a computer science internship, by the way, too. No coding problems. That was surprising, but a lot of places will. And if you want to work at startups or like your Googles, Amazons, Teslas, you got to know this stuff. So we're going to be having meetings where we're going to practice these types of things. It's not going to be as slow as this because we're going to be, it's mostly going to be work time, but you know, if we do it in groups, then it'll be more likely that you'll actually follow through and actually practice. So I'm going to be sending out updates on that in the group career prep Slack channel. See that? No, I didn't. Okay, it's this one. It's pretty small, but you just search in the channels for group career prep. I'm going to send out a when to meet link in there, and then we'll be meeting every week. If we want to do, once we get more comfortable with LeetCode, we will do whiteboard problems because that will simulate more closely to what you'll actually experience in an interview. And we can also have Google Docs interviews, or we'll interview each other. That's another thing that they do nowadays. They'll just have you type code in the Google Docs, very similar to how you'd have on a test. There's no emulator here. There's no autocomplete. So yeah, they want to see your thought process mostly.
It's a hamster running in the wheel.
Yeah.
Not run.
Even if you know the answer, because a lot of times people that practice really hard for the jobs, they'll know so many of these problems that they'll see familiar ones. They don't want to know that you've seen it before, so you have to pretend like you've never seen it in your life. Like, wow, this is a really tough one, and then you walk them through your thinking process. It's a big charade, but the idea here is to get y'all prepared for that charade. So if this sounds interesting, join our career prep group. This is pretty much going to be the end of career prep at the normal meetings, other than the announcement once we get LeetCode Premium. So if you want to do more stuff like this, that's going to be your only outlet.
I think career prep is not the only thing we're going to be doing. We'll cover like LinkedIn. I think that's a big thing. Resumes, that kind of thing.
Yeah, bunch of bunch of things to get you into a job.
Yeah.
That's the primary focus. of it.
And a lot of deadlines for internships are coming up here, so. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, even if you're a freshman, don't be afraid to apply. Especially places in government. They like to hire early. NASA, they will hire freshmen more than they will hire upperclassmen because they want to train you into their thinking process. So don't be afraid to apply to these tough places. It's really not that much time. I know it's hard. I have the thought process like, I don't want to submit a lackluster resume or whatever. Just do it. They'll probably say no. Maybe they'll say yes. You have higher chances now than you will in a few years. So take advantage.